Hi, so my name is Schmid. I'm the founder and CEO of Contro. And Contro is an online prescription and delivery service for sexual health and confidence products. Basically, we're a comprehensive telehealth platform that offers virtual consultations, prescription management, and free nationwide delivery across the country.
What was the problem that you guys identified, in South Africa around sexual health and, access to prescriptions in this way?
So there's multiple, barriers to entry when it comes to just general healthcare, and then sexual healthcare takes it another level up.
Yeah.
Let's go into the first barriers of healthcare. So first ones are obviously South Africa has both a public and a private healthcare system. We're well aware of that. But public healthcare systems are in a bit of a shambles. And when we started, it was sort of over COVID, and getting access to government clinics and so on and so forth when it came to lockdown measures was a nightmare. It's opened back up again, and clinics are still in disarray. There's lines going around the corner 10 times over. People, getting access to medications from a stock standpoint in the clinics are hard. And even when they get into the clinics and they get treatment finally, there's a lot of judgment and bias that kicks in, and there's a lot of stigma around these sexual health topics. In terms of private healthcare, then, if people say, well, look, I don't want to go through that experience, I want to get private healthcare, you're looking at high consultation costs, high travel costs, and you've then got to go to multiple providers. So, the normal journey is phone, book a doctor's consult, drive to the doctor, have the consult. That's $600, $700 just to give you a piece of paper for like a chronic med, like birth control, for example. Then you got to drive to the pharmacy, park, get the stuff. You see where I'm going with this. Stand in the queue, get it all, and then rinse and repeat for the next 6 months, and then you're back at the doctor again. So it's a really tedious process. And then when you layer on the fact that we're talking about sexual health products, there's a lot of taboo and stigma. And I think the first problem is people just don't get access to healthcare simply because of the stigma at first. It's like, I can't even fathom talking about an issue with my genitals or a sexual health issue, and people don't want to even start that conversation. I think that's the first barrier, and that's what Contro is sort of aiming to address.
What do you think, I think of South Africa as being a very conservative country that presents as being progressive. But when it comes to healthcare specifically and sexual healthcare, the experiences of a lot of people, especially in public health, have been very, difficult experiences where nurses and doctors might, give you a tongue lashing before they say, hey, oh, wait, this is actually the medication. And this is well documented. How important does it become to just get over that one thing, right? Just helping people be able to access the sexual health products that they really need or medication without having to deal with the, hey, what the hell were you doing?
Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, I think the big thing is creating a safe space for those people, and that's what Contro is aiming to do. It's a key fact. I mean, people don't want to get treatment. We have customers that come through and they've had an STI for 9 months, and they've been suffering with this for arguably too long. But the problem is because they leave it for so long, it creates more and more issues. A good example, and to get into a bit of a nitty-gritty of it all, something like syphilis, for example, if you leave it for too long, it has 4 stages of an infection. So if you get to stage 3 or 4, your life starts to become, at risk in a sense. And that's a huge issue. So it's about opening up those barriers, making sure people can come to a safe space, get access to healthcare, and talk to people that are non-judgmental and non-biased and are willing to listen to them. And I think that's key, and that's what we're trying to create.
Yeah, so you went through this, complete flow of the traditional way, which is, I have to call the doctor, I go drive and go to the doctor's consultation, then I go to the pharmacy and all of that. Can you go through the Contro process?
Yeah, it's very simple. So you simply jump to contro.co.za, like any other platform, sign up, and then select the service you're looking for. So it could be birth control, STI treatment, whatever it may be. You then fill out what we call a health assessment form, which asks you a bunch of questions about your current medical stage, your medical history, and we collect a bit of data for the doctor to assess you quicker. You then check out, book a doctor's consultation, and then book a time in that suits you. Doctor either can have a virtual call, telephone call with you, and once that happens, it's average about 4 or 5 minutes is our consultation time. Once that's done, doctor sends script to the pharmacy and then deliver it for free in discreet packaging anywhere in South Africa within 1 to 2 business days.
What have been like some of the challenges in really getting, from the doctor's side, them to understand like the use of technology in this sort of interaction versus say the traditional method and how they've done things, historically?
So when we started looking to onboard doctors in the beginning of Contro, we were lucky we had one or two friends who were doctors, and we sort of pitched the idea to them, and they loved it. But they were of our generation, shall we say.
Of course.
They were more tech-enabled, they were more keen to use it. And we started interviewing older doctors, and you could just see the response was, but how are we going to do this? I don't understand. And they're like, how do I, we had to interview them. Our first test actually on interviewing doctors was we sent them a Google Meet link. And if they couldn't get on the Google Meet link, we kind of knew, right?
What a great test of, hey, do you know how to use technology?
Yeah, it was literally that. And they're like, can't we just do a phone call? We were like, no, you have to do a Google Meet call. And that kind of was the first test. But the adoption from the doctors has been epic, to be honest. They love it. Our doctors, at the moment, we have 4 on our platform. They absolutely love using it. It's super easy. It's super quick. And for them, I think the health assessment process is what really speeds it up and makes it easier for them. Because the patient is front-loading the information for the doctor. Normally consults, you stay for 15 minutes telling them about your history, telling them about everything. They need to learn so much more about you before they can actually treat you. In this instance, they've got all that information. They can get it, they can give it a quick read. They go, right, no red flags, looking good. And they literally jump on the console and say, just to double check, all good, that's fine. And they say to the patient, right, what do you want? And that's kind of how it goes. And it's I think the approach we've taken with our doctors is we've looked for experienced but younger doctors. And doctors that are open and not judgmental in terms of from a sexual health standpoint. And, fun fact, actually all of our doctors on our platform are part of the LGBTQ community.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How important do you think that is? Because I do think like there's a different frame of thinking and like perspective that might come from doctors that go, okay, sexual health, needs to be prioritized in this way.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because when we started Contro, we thought, it's going to be hard to get doctors. Like, it's going to be a mission to find these guys. And a lot of like our early investors were like, how are you going to find doctors? And the irony is we have doctor CVs sitting in our inbox. I mean, I probably have 20, 30 right now. And the kind of doctors that are coming through are young, energetic, mostly LGBTQ. And I think for them, it resonates with who they are. It resonates with, I guess, the stigma that they've probably faced in their lives. And I think they're on a bit of a mission to open up sexual health and open up the community, and I think that's amazing. And we're hoping
with a lot more thoughtfulness and consciousness about how important it actually is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So how difficult, or what does it look like to start to get people to start using Contro, right? Like, just to explain to someone, hey, look, completely different flow. You don't have the judgment. You don't have to deal with the extra costs and a lot more effort in order to just get to a decent place to getting your actual medication.
Yeah, I think you sold it there yourself, to be honest. I think we've just made the access to healthcare easier and simpler. Our slogan at Contro is healthcare made simple, and that's what we're doing. I think getting people on the platform, I think the biggest issue in South Africa is stigma. I think having someone open up to a complete stranger online about their sexual health issues is obviously a big barrier, but we've obviously reduced that barrier by bringing it online, doing it virtually. And, if you get too embarrassed, I think people have the idea that, okay, I could just put the phone down, or I could just get off the call. And I think that's a bit of a saving grace in a sense in terms of getting people through the door. But over and above that, these are needed products. These are needed services. People need access to healthcare. I mean, what's been amazing for us and so humbling at Contro is that when we started, to be honest, our target market was like Clifton, Camps Bay, Sandton. We wanted to build Uber for the pill. Was kind of the way we saw it. And what we ended up finding out was that we ended up hitting people in townships and rural areas. So to date, 35% of our entire customer base live in township communities or in rural areas.
Oh, wow.
And that for us was such a shock. And we just couldn't figure out why. We're like, but there's public healthcare, it's free. And then we started doing sort of, research and investigations and asking our customers, why are you using us? And they're going, well, you're the cheapest out there. We provide a brilliant service. you're non-judgmental, and you're easy to access. And I live in, say, Secunda. We've got quite a few guys in Secunda that use us. And they're saying, I can't get proper healthcare out here, but I can get it through you. And that's been the biggest sort of wake-up call for us. And we just want to expand and go bigger and make sure access to healthcare is across South Africa, not only in urban areas.
Yeah. How did you guys fund your business just to start with, right? Like, I think it's so amazing to have this, there's all this technology that's being used to, one, connect the users to the doctors, the prescription, and then you've got obviously a whole system just for the delivery part of things. Maybe you can go into that flow, but then also how you guys got funded as well.
So we started Contro with a total of 250,000 Rand. We acquired our first 750 customers with that 250,000 Rand. That 250,000 Rand was bootstrapped. I took a lot of my savings and I just threw it into it and said, let's give this a go. Let's try it and let's see what happens. And, that was our attitude in terms of really starting Contro. A lot of people said, go raise funding, go out and you have an idea, just go raise funding for it. And sometimes I regret not doing it, to be honest. I think back then I thought I should have got out and raised. But I think in the beginning we wanted to prove to ourselves that we could do it. This was the first time we had done a proper tech startup. I've got 2 technical co-founders. And, the idea of it really for me was I don't want to take people's money knowing that I haven't done something before and I can't sort of justify that I'm just going to take, I don't know, $1 million and just give this a go. I wanted to prove that we could prove concept first ourselves. And I think that's made a big difference in raising investment further on down the line. We took our own risk, we took our own money, we put it into the business, and and it worked. We were very lucky, but it worked. And because it's worked, and because we took that risk, investors are like, right, these guys are all in. They've done it. They took, jumped out of their law careers, jumped out of their developer careers, and they've gone all in. And that's been a big win for us in a sense.
It's been a while since I actually interviewed someone that bootstrapped their business or their startup. Like, it's been a very long time. And what you're finding now is like the bootstrap entrepreneur is like the artisanal coffee guy. He's like, he is a rare commodity. They are very different people. And I think the thinking you need to have when you're bootstrapping versus having raised funding or gone through an incubator or accelerator program where it's funded. Can you speak to the experience of trying to build a startup when you're bootstrapping versus, further on, you'll probably have that experience of like raising money and all of that?
Yeah, cost conscious is what you become massively. I think what's so amazing about the world today is there are so many free tools out there that you can use to build a business. I'm very fortunate to have fantastic technical co-founders with over 15 years of development experience each, so that's been a key thing. But I think everybody asked me, how did you start Contro with so little money? And it really came down to network. In the sense of I picked up the phone and I started phoning people and saying, hey, this is the idea I have. I figured it out through an experience. And at the end of the day, I want to give it a go. Are you keen? And, you'll be surprised at how many people will say yes. And, I think that was the big thing for me. And we literally, I was in London. I was actually working in a law firm when we started Contro. I phoned my 2 co-founders who are good friends of mine. And I said, hey guys, I've had this idea for a long time. I've sort of validated it somewhat, but would you be keen on building it with me? And we sat down, and I think we worked every weekend, and we still work every weekend, for the first year and a half. We literally got on meetings on Saturday mornings, and we would just develop, and we would develop, and we would develop, and we built this MVP. It took us about 9 months part-time to get it out. And then we sort of launched. But I think the key thing was we were building this platform, and then we phoned our partner farmers and said, hey, would you be keen to partner with us? And we were lucky. We got a few breaks, don't get me wrong. I think that was a big part of it. But doing it the way we did, we learned so much. It was incredible how much we learned in terms of being able to start a business with almost zero resources, and seeing what you can leverage from a network, friend, family, standpoint to put something like this together. And that's been it was a huge part of Contro's DNA was, let's just get it done.
Yeah.
And that was it.
when you can't just rely on money to just get in as many people as you want to try and, do as much of the work as you can, it becomes so much more important to have the right people. How did you sort of know that the people that you wanted to work with were the right people to work with and would be okay with having to do it the hard way, which I think bootstrapping actually is?
Yeah, it absolutely is. I don't think we knew it was the hard way because we'd never done it before. So we just thought, well, let's just build this thing and see what we get. And I remember my one co-founder, he says it to me almost every second week. He's like, I hope you know that I never gave this a chance in hell. And I said, no, I know you didn't. I know you didn't. But, I kept proving you wrong, and I'm going to keep proving you wrong, and we're going to keep making this happen. And to this day, we still are. So, yeah, I think it's been a journey, and it's one that I would never take back. I don't think I would go and raise, but it's a different type of business. Certain businesses do need capital to kick off. Other businesses don't. But I can tell you, we raised our pre-seed fund in November. We raised $585,000 from some fantastic investors. And that now we need the money for sure, because it's all about scaling, right? I think the best, my advice to anyone looking to start a business is, I'll use Nike's term, and just do it. Go get that MVP out there. Everyone says like you can launch surveys and you can talk to your friends, but they're all going to be biased.
Yeah.
They're not going to be real. You really need to get a product out there, and it can be terrible. Like honestly, our first MVP was shocking. The amount of bugs we had. The stress levels were just through the roof. It was unbelievable. But we learned so many lessons in the first 2-3 months of getting Contro up. And we were like, we built for one thing, and then we realized, oh, wow, we actually kind of need this feature, we need this feature, we need this, and we need that. And the only way we were able to learn that was through, true customer experience. And that's how Contro's been developed, and it continues to develop that way. We take customer feedback, we take our partners' feedback, we take market feedback, and we continue to improve and keep building a better system.
Yeah. What are the things that have made you guys a really great co-founding team, right? Because having chosen it to do this the hard way and really figuring this out constantly and consistently, you guys definitely need to have some level of like chemistry or something that really makes you a better co-founding team to figure out this problem and like be able to deliver a great experience. What are those things that are, I don't want to say secret sauce, but I always think that like founding teams are special. Like if you don't get that mix right, it just like breaks everything else.
Yeah, I agree. It's like a recipe, right? It can go one way or the other, and you're going to put some ingredients in, and you're going to hope it comes out amazing. And we're going to see, especially with my cooking at least. But with my team, we were just good friends. We really were just good friends, and I think and I will say this, and they'll agree, we weren't the closest of friends. I wouldn't say Ross and Dave were my best friends, but they were my friends, and I think we had that respect for each other from the get-go, in the sense of, we all respected each other's skill sets, we all respected each other's achievements to date, and we all knew what we could do. The question was, could we put it all together? And I think that was something we had to figure out. Throughout the journey, we have kept a very light tone in the founding team. We've kept it fun, we've kept it humorous. Sexual health and health can be quite a serious thing. And, part of the journey, you've got to kind of have a bit of a light tongue-in-cheek approach to things in a way. Yeah. Not that you don't take it seriously, but, there's long nights, it's a long journey to build. And I think the secret sauce has really been keeping friendships going, keeping that throughout the play, but really keeping dedicated to the goal. And, we all want this to work. We all have it. And I think it's finding a co-founder is finding someone who's willing to go to battle with you, go to war, do the long hours, do the long nights. People are going to complain, don't get me wrong. There's always going to be headbutts and so on and so forth. But it's about everyone aligned on the same goal, going for it. And I'm going to be honest, you won't know until you're in the trenches. Yeah. And I've been very, very lucky with my co-founders, and they've been amazing.
Yeah. Speaking about trenches, right? Obviously, you guys have now raised in November. And how important was it to the investors that you guys had put up your own money first and figured it out and tried to sort of build some traction? What were the things that they looked at and said, okay, you guys are the right guys to back?
Yeah, I think the fact that we did bootstrap it was a big win for them. I think that was a key thing. I think the other thing was that the skill sets of the team were very prominent. We're all highly qualified individuals, and I think they saw us in a way that these guys really took a risk. They really put their all into it, and that's the kind of team we want to back. And as you mentioned, trenches. They could see we were in the trenches, and I think a lot of our investors were really impressed with the traction we were able to pull out so early on and so quickly, what we'd be able to build in such a short amount of time, and how good it was in terms of the design, the brand, the function, the features. I mean, we did this all ourselves. It wasn't like we hired outside people. We just did it and we made it ourselves. So I think they were very impressed with our sort of versatility and being able to just get it off the ground and go. I think the fact that we actually came with real numbers. I think one thing that I've found, and a lot of startup founders are going to hate me for this, but guys that come with a napkin idea and they're asking for $5 million, I'm like, dude, how are you? Like, you have how? Unless you have $5 million in the bank and you're willing to back it. No, start it small, get it going. Obviously, look, equity is key. You don't want to give away too much in the beginning, but the fact is, I think when you've got a bit of traction and you've shown that you can deliver a product or a service, you're able to get a better valuation, and you're able to bring real numbers to an investor, and investors want that. They want to see actual, money coming in and going out, and they want to see expenses. They want to know what this business is now, and if it was 100 times this, what's it going to look like, right? And if you don't have a starting point, it's very difficult to figure out an ending point. And that's where I think investors really appreciated us getting off the ground first, doing it ourselves, taking the risk, and I think that's why a lot of them backed our team.
Yeah. How important was the corporate experience that you've had, before starting something? Because you did mention your co-founders are also just 15 years of experience, developers, and you were a lawyer for about 10 years plus. How important was that for you, and how has it really made you a better entrepreneur?
Yeah, so definitely was a lawyer for 10 years. I don't think I'd be standing today if I but my journey was about 10 years long, so yeah. Definitely. But no, I think having that corporate experience, it brings a maturity. I think it brings a maturity to a team. You understand how to work with people better. You understand how to set goals. You understand how to deliver on deadlines. You understand the point of things in a way, But there's a lot of things you also have to unlearn, which has been which was really interesting for us. A lot of people talk about how, a good example is our two co-founders, how they do code deploys and code reviews and all that sort of stuff. And it's all very process driven. And, and with us, it's like, let's just get it in.
Yeah.
Let's just go. Come, let's just make it happen. We need to get this out. And it's been the same approach with everything we've done, And that's what I've loved about working for a startup. It's been very agile. It's been really fast moving. But it doesn't feel like I have to climb over 10 barriers and go through red tape and ask someone's permission and get 10 signatures. It's just like, right, we need this, let's just do it. And that's been really the theme of Contro the whole time, is really just get it done and let's do it. And it's proven, very successful to be agile and be able to move and adapt and go fast. And I think there's been a bit of an unlearning experience from corporate, but there's been a maturity that's come with working in corporate as well. That's given a bit of professionalism to what we do, and also it gives investors, quite a lot of, confidence in us, knowing that we've worked in a corporate environment. We're building a startup, but that startup eventually will become a corporate environment. So they know, right, if they can do it in the startup environment and they've really done the corporate environment, well, they could probably take it all the way. And I think that's a big positive when it came to our investors and why they invest in us.
Yeah. As the traction comes, as the funding comes, as the learnings come, the growth surely has to as well. How are you guys structuring your team in order to prepare for what will come?
So I think that's a key point. So we are being careful in terms of structuring that team for growth. So I think the biggest thing that we've done at Contro is we've built for scale as much as possible and looked at automating as many processes as possible, so we don't have to hire as many people. There's a lot of businesses that are big and huge, and when you go inside you realize there's a lot of people pulling levers and turning gears and making sure things work. And I think what we've done at Contro is we've said, right, and the reason we did this is because we didn't have the capital. We didn't know if we were ever going to be able to raise money to make this happen. So we thought, we've got to build knowing we only have 250,000 rand in the bank. And if we're going to do that, everything has to be as automated as possible. And that will allow us to scale effectively. So in terms of our growth strategy, look, we've definitely got some key hires to come. We have to expand out our dev team, and we have to look at building out a bit more of a marketing team as well to really get that growth. But I can tell you now, as a founder, and I've got one or two friends who've started businesses themselves, I do not want a 40-person company. I really don't. I think it's a dream for a lot of people to get there, and some businesses need it, and I'm not saying you shouldn't get there. But I just think my idea of a business is keep it lean, high operational leverage, low capital requirements, and just be able to scale. I think the perfect team size in my eyes is probably between 15 to 18 people. If your business needs more than that, I think you really need to be pulling in a lot of revenue to be showing that you need 50 people to running this operation. Look, I think all businesses will get there, don't get me wrong. But I think in these first 3, 4, 5 years, I don't think you need 50 people. I think you're over-hiring and you're spending money in the wrong places.
Yeah. What are you learning about yourself with this journey of entrepreneurship, building out this startup and really driving impact in the healthcare space?
I am learning. Well, I've learned a lot about myself. I think. I mean, geez, it's a tough question because I think you learn so much so quickly, and your brain just keeps going. I think what I've learned about myself is that I'm more sympathetic than I ever thought I was. I've been so humbled by building Contro and what we've been able to achieve to date, both from a team perspective, but also with how many people we've helped. I think we've got a trust pilot set up, and we do a lot of surveys with our customers and get as much information as possible. And just the feedback is so humbling, and how we help people. And what we did is we ran a cancellation survey actually last week, and we sent it out to all of our cancelled customers, and we asked them a bunch of questions, made it very precise. And we said, why did you leave us today? Give us a bit of feedback and tell us. And, just the feedback was overwhelmingly positive. I was thinking these people were going to rinse us and be like, you got a terrible service, like delivery was late, or, the doctor judged me or something. And it was the complete opposite. It was, people coming out of the woodwork saying, you helped me when I was in a really dark place. You need to keep doing what you're doing. We have stunning service, best online service I've used, all that sort of stuff has come out, and that for me has really humbled me. But it's been coming from people in areas that I never thought we'd hit, such as Tembisa, Diepkloof, Diepsloot, and that for me is, I never thought it would affect me as much as it did. And it really gives me so much passion to really keep driving and building this business, because I do now see we've built something bigger than we ever thought we were going to. And I really see the value in being able to build Contro and create what we're really trying to build is bridge the gap between public and private healthcare and create an accessible healthcare system for every South African. And I really mean every South African to use.